The Dodgers probably need an outfielder, and they might have too many starting pitchers. The Red Sox definitely need starting pitching, probably have too many outfielders. Could there be a trade made there? Maybe Jarren Duran for Dustin May? Let's talk about it on All Dodgers. Hey there, Dodger fans. Welcome to All Dodgers. I am Jeff Snyder, coming to you live from my basement in Pleasant Grove, Utah. I am with my buddy. He's going to put himself up on the screen, and I'm going to point at him correctly the first time. Clip Casillas, coming to you from La Puente, California.
Yes, sir.
All Dodgers, part of the Believe Network of podcasts, brought to you by Bet Online, all that good stuff. Clint, let's just jump right in. You and I talked the other day about exactly how much time was left until the trade deadline. We're not going to get that granular because I know it hurt your head for a while last time. We're a week away.
Yeah.
We are, less than a week. But as far as days go, we are a week away from the trade deadline. And we saw our first big-ish trade. We kind of debated whether Josh Naylor counts as a big trade deadline trade, but a trade went down today. A contending team traded for a guy who's having a good season. Yeah. That qualifies as a trade deadline trade. The Mariners got Josh Naylor, and that kind of kicks it off. It's not the first trade of the season, but it's the first trade of the trade deadline season.
Yeah.
And what better time to dig in? We did kind of a high level show the other day, 30,000 foot view of the trade deadline. Today, we want to talk more specific about one specific idea really, which is what would it take to get Jarren Duran from the Red Sox, and specifically Ken Rosenthal said that Dustin May is a possible trade piece for the Dodgers. Basically saying once Blake Snell comes off the injured list, Dustin May is probably losing his spot in the rotation anyway, and so he could be trade bait. And it's like, okay, well, we know the Red Sox are looking for starting pitching, big league starting pitching, and we also know that they have so many outfielders that Jarren Duran, who was an elite defensive center fielder last year, is playing left field for them now. This might be a match made in heaven, at least our version of heaven, where the Dodgers, we really want the Dodgers to get a center fielder.
Yeah, I firmly believe the Dodgers are in need of a center fielder, not just an outfielder. They need a center fielder. They need a place to end up putting Dustin May when Blake Snell is back in 10 days or so, 10 to 14 days. And obviously, the Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox have partnered on deals in the past. I'm sure Red Sox Nation would have some issues with another outfielder being traded to Boston. But the thing is, they are in the thick of a playoff race right now. They are, I think they're in the wild card, they have one of the top spots in the wild card. And they, like you said, they need starting pitching, and they don't need 7 outfielders. So it is kind of one of those things. It feels like a match made in heaven. The Dodgers have the pieces. It will take more than Dustin May. We will talk about that. But people, judging from the excitement that people have kind of shared, people really want Jarren Duran.
Yeah, I saw Timmy in the chat here. Timmy was also in our Discord server. Very excited about this episode just from seeing the headline about it, because Jarren Duran is a popular guy. You know what? Before we jump head first into this, should we talk about Bet Online really quick? Let's talk about Bet Online, and then we will talk about Jarren Duran for Dustin May, because Bet Online continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. And with baseball in full swing and football season around the corner, Bet Online has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, and even live in-game betting. From MLB, UFC to tennis and NFL futures, Bet Online remains your choice for sports wagering info. And in between games, you can head over to the Bet Online Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. So head to the website, betonline.ag, today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. Bet Online, the game starts here.
Woo!
And the game for the Dodgers starts tomorrow. If the game is the trade deadline, the game starts any day now, any minute now.
Yeah.
We talked the other day about the fact that, according to Jeff Passan, the Dodgers aren't really in the market for an outfielder. Stephen Kwan was the only outfielder he talked about who he even listed as the Dodgers as a potential fit for. We will definitely talk more about Kwan sometime in the next week too. But I feel like you and I, and maybe it's just a difference of opinion, but I feel like people who follow the Dodgers closely feel like the Dodgers need an outfielder more than maybe some of the national writers think. So
Yeah, I mean the national writers know everybody in the world knows they need a bullpen arm, maybe two. But when it comes to that outfield, watching this team day in and day out, it's not so much every day about the production, but it's about the defense. The defense is an area of major concern, and we kind of had that major concern, and we kind of had that worry entering the season. I know that's something Kevin and I spoke about while he was in the kitchen, sometime heading into spring training and through spring training. It's like this could be a pretty rough defensive outfield, and what we've seen so far. I mean, thank God, like Andy Pajes has kind of figured out how to play defense for the most part, unless something bad happens and then he thinks too much and then he drops a ball or whatever it may be. But what we see day in day out out in the outfield, that's not a championship caliber defensive outfield. And as you said, Jarren Duran is an exceptional defensive center fielder, and this team doesn't have a center. Because if James Outman can hit, we would be fine, but he can't. So you got to go get Outman with the potential to hit a baseball with a bat.
So you're off the Jimmy Outman train?
I haven't been on the Jimmy Outman train.
You've been driving the Jimmy Outman train, man. Man, you got your wish. Dodgers called up Jimmy Outman, and then you just turn against the guy.
Me?
Man, that's
is this
too bad.
opposite day?
Oh man,
guys, hit that like and subscribe for a happy opposite day to everybody wherever you may be. Because
isn't it weird? Even if it was opposite day, we have no way of knowing, because if you ask somebody if it's opposite day, they're going to say no, whether it is or not. These are the things that keep me up at night, Clint. The other thing that keeps me up at night is the we talk about the potential of trading Dustin May because he's going to lose the spot in the rotation. Can a team like the Dodgers, with the Dodgers' history of injuries to pitchers, ever actually have so many starting pitchers that they're willing to trade one at the trade deadline?
Yes, because they've done it. Last year, James Paxton was the name. I talked about that earlier on Dodgers territory. You could say in 2023, Noah Syndergaard, rest in peace, but he was traded away for a bag of scraps, or at least the first coming of Ahmed Rosario. And in 2020, Ross Stripling didn't have a spot, and they pretty much just sent him away for a bag of baseballs and ended up winning that World Series. But we've seen the team do this. Maybe those teams particularly 20, had more starting pitching innings and arms and options than this team has. But either way, even if Glasnow succumbs to another injury or something else happens, I can't envision a world where Dustin May is even starting games for the Dodgers in the postseason if he were to ride out the string. So now feels like the right time to pull the plug.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's that, yes, it's possible that the Dodgers might need Dustin May in October, but if that's the case, they're not that much likely to be that much better with him than without him.
Yeah.
And maybe that's we're probably being too hard on Dustin May. I do think May has potential. May might be a good change of scenery kind of candidate, though.
And that was the thing I wanted to ask you too right now. What is the value of Dustin May, do you think, to people that aren't Dodgers fans who have watched him try to come back over the last few years? What do you think other teams are thinking of him?
I wish I knew for sure, but his stuff still has to be enticing. He doesn't throw as hard as he used to, but the sweeper is good. The stuff is still has potential to be good, and I could definitely see him being a guy who a team might look at and say, "Oh, we think we can get the best out of him." And even his last outing, piggybacking off Shohei Ohtani, he pitched really well. And, he's going to get a start this coming week, which, if he makes that start for the Dodgers, it could potentially be his last start for the Dodgers because it would definitely be his last spot in the rotation before the trade deadline. And, we'll see how that goes. But he's a guy who had enough prospect sheen.
Yes.
And then the injuries and everything. He's still relatively early
Fresh.
back from the injury.
And he's low mileage, right?
Yeah, I don't know if low mileage counts when the reason you have low mileage is because of two major arm injuries. I feel like
Mhm.
if it was two knee injuries that took him out, then I think, yeah, people would be thinking, hey, this arm is fresh. But
Low mileage on the engine, but it was in a car accident and there was some chassis damage.
yeah, there's 180,000 miles on the body,
Yeah.
only 30,000 on the new ligament. Um,
I feel like it's worth right now taking a pause too before we really like dive into, and this is not going to be a super long episode of the show, even though we already talked 10 minutes about Dustin May in particular. Like, we understand sitting here that you're not going to get a deal done for just Dustin May for Jarren Duran. One is on an expiring contract. The other one is under team control, and we're going to get more into that in a little bit. I just want to make sure that the people who are going to watch this after the fact that are mad at us, they
Angry Red
understand that
Sox
we're not
fans,
dumb.
maybe.
I mean,
Yeah,
we may be idiots, but we're not dumb.
yeah, we're definitely idiots and often dumb. But in this case, we are dumb people who recognize this wouldn't be a 1-to-1 trade.
Absolutely
And
not.
and you know what? Just because it's on our document later, no reason we can't talk about that right now.
Yeah.
The like you said, contract wise, Jarren Duran has a lot more team control. He's a better player right now. And but they fit each other's needs. And so this would be a May and
Mm-hmm.
probably May and another major league guy and a prospect maybe for Duran.
Yeah.
What it was who was it? David Schoenfeld from ESPN would talk about a rumor of Mitch Keller from the Pirates to the Red Sox for Jarren Duran.
Yeah.
And so if you kind of look at it from that standpoint, Keller has what, 4 more years of team
Yeah.
control?
4 more
And
years, and he's been very solid over his 7 years, mostly very solid over his 7 years so far.
yeah, so he's probably better than Dustin May and has more team control. And so if Schoenfeld was saying a 1-to-1 Keller for Duran swap, well, that's the gap that the Dodgers would need to fill to get from Dustin May to Mitch Keller. And yeah, whether that is, and sometimes quantity is better for a team like the Red Sox. Like I remember when the Dodgers traded for Manny Machado, and there were no superstar prospects there, but the quantity of prospects, I think they sent
6 for
5
1?
guys, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And and it was like one guy had major league experience, maybe 2, and then I think it was 5 prospects and a journeyman.
Oh, yeah, it was that random outfielder. Oh, me and somebody I used to work with at the place that we both used to work with. We always made fun of the guy, and I loved him, and I can't remember the name right now
If only
either.
there was some way to find out.
Only there was some way.
If only so. We're thinking of Breivik Valera is the name
Breivik.
there.
Dodgers legend Breivik Valera. But yeah,
So
it's
4 prospects and Breivik Valera.
this is a deal that is a Dustin May and for sure. I agree with what you're saying there. Somebody we were talking about before we hit the live button. I don't know how other teams view Justin Robleski. I think if I didn't have my Dodger knowledge and I was a Red Sox fan or a Yankees fan or insert other team fan here, I would look at the stuff from Justin Robleski, a left-hander who can touch 98, 99 with the fastball, has a couple of pitches in the tank, and when he's right is very good. I would be pretty intrigued to get somebody of the caliber of a Justin Robleski along with Dustin May, knowing that Robo has years under team control. He still isn't a free agent until what, 27, 28, 29. Like, he has some time. So if the Red Sox in this scenario are getting Dustin May right now, they're also getting Robleski for right now, use him in whatever role, and then they have Robleski to be an option, in that rotation, because it is Dustin May's walk year. You don't know where he's going to end up. So you give yourself, as the Red Sox, you buy yourself a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I guess security in having another arm that is, starting caliber, starting capable of starting would be the Robleski name there.
Robleski's 25 years old, just turned 25 last week, and has 5 years of team control left after this year. Like, from the standpoint of a Dodger fan, if it was Dustin May and Justin Robleski, I'd view Robleski as the bigger loss in that trade, as the guy that that you might end up looking back. And Matty Man showing a little sarcasm in the chat.
Can we throw that in there?
Jarren Duran
Can we throw Conforto in the chat or in the trade? Let's do it.
But I did wonder, to look at this. Dustin May, Justin Robleski, and James Outman.
I mean,
James Outman is just worse Jarren Duran, right?
yes, as evidenced by what I said a few minutes ago. Now, if I'm the Boston Red Sox, I'm looking at James Outman's numbers, and I mean, I love the AAA numbers, but I'm also like, wait, aren't we trading away an outfielder because we have too many outfielders? Why do we want to bring one back that hit? So that third piece is definitely the most difficult piece. I think a 3-for-1 could get a deal done because May, Robleski, that's almost Mitch Keller, right? That sounds like a comparable enough. But who's that other piece? I asked you before we went live as well. Like, is Alex Freeland too much? I agree that I think some people will think it's too much. Maybe it is, but at the same time, you got to move prospects to get a deal done. And what are they going to do? Hold on to another prospect until he ages out, and you know, if you're lucky, it becomes a Michael Busch trade again.
But Alex Freeland is only 23 and is on pace to get to the big leagues. Like Michael Busch, the trade made sense because he didn't have a spot on the Dodgers. Like even now, he's a good player for the Cubs, playing first base where the Dodgers don't have an opening. And so that was, and look who the Dodgers got for him. That was a win-win trade. But in the long run, the Dodgers might end up winning it more than the Cubs. Alex Freeland, I don't think is anywhere close enough yet to that. He's a guy you got to trade. You know, Ryan Ward, if you're never going to play him, trade him. You know, looking at this prospect list, you know, if you start to look at some of the older guys, you know, River Ryan is older, but he's a different story. Kyle Hurt is kind of the same thing. You know, but some of these, if they're looking for more pitching, you know, that's the thing. I don't know if either of us know the Red Sox farm system well enough to say what they'd be looking for if they got May and Robleski, and we're just throwing those names out. But you know, I would guess they'd want a position player for the third guy.
Yeah, and this is where somebody like a Noah Miller makes some sense. He's a glove first kind of having a fine season, of course. Just called up to AAA not too long ago, but very, very the word is very, very good defensive shortstop. Doesn't hurt to have somebody who could play the middle infield. And I'm not going personally. I will not be sad if the Dodgers were to trade away Noah Miller to fill a hole they need directly right now and help out in center field next season.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So let's settle on that. Dustin May, Justin Robleski, Noah Miller for Jarren Duran.
Do you have who's their GM again? Is it Chaim Bloom? We just talked about this.
No
it feels
idea.
like
Didn't Bloom get fired?
Oh yeah, well he did get fired. Oh, it's one of the guys who was also a big leaguer at some point. Somebody will have it in the chat right now, but we'll get his number. We'll make this trade. Craig Breslow, there you go. Yeah. Major League pitching legend Craig Breslow.
And that's actually an interesting point because somebody in the chat earlier I saw said, would the Dodgers, I think it was Cole, said, would the Red Sox even trade with the Dodgers again after the Mookie Betts fleecing?
Yeah.
This is a different regime. That was Chaim Bloom. This is Craig Breslow. And you can't, I mean, teams they're not keeping score like that. Oh, this team fleeced us, especially the teams that are smart. Artie Moreno keeps score. Whoever runs the Rockies, whichever one of Dick Monfort's sons is making decisions, keeps score. But smart baseball teams don't keep score like that. And if anything, even if they were, it'd be like, hey, here's our chance to fleece the Dodgers back and get them back for the Mookie Betts trade. But realistically, it's if this trade helps our team in the way that we need to be helped, then we're going to make the trade. So
yeah, and I think that's the right next segue probably is Jarren Duran the right option for the Dodgers. If some of the other dudes like who's the guy we just saw, center fielder for the Twins. We've talked about him a few times. Yeah, if Buxton says he's not going to get traded, if Brent Rooker went on foul territory to say he's not getting today to say that he's not being traded anywhere, there are very few. Like Luis Robert is somebody that you cannot rely on even slightly when it comes to potentially available center field capable outfielders. Duran is far and away the best option.
If Buxton's not going anywhere, because other names, you got Cedric Mullins, who
is bad. Can't defend
Apparently
this
can't
year.
play defense this year, which I'm not ready to accept that he's just turned into a bad defensive center fielder overnight. But it's definitely enough to give you pause. I wonder about a guy like Stephen Kwan, who we'll definitely talk about Kwan at some point soon. Kwan is a left fielder, but he's an elite left fielder and an excellent athlete. I wonder if he could play center field. And I don't even know, who do the Guardians have playing center field, because I assume, let's see, center fielder
Somebody.
is
It's
Angel
definitely
Martinez, who isn't very good defensively in center field. So I don't know why the Guardians wouldn't have tried Quan in center if they thought he could do it. So
Yeah.
so maybe he is a left fielder. I think you and I agree that if the Dodgers were to get an outfielder, we would prefer it be a good defensive center fielder who can also hit. And that's why guys like Buxton and Duran appeal to us, because it then does let you move Andy Pages to a corner and figure out what to do about the two bad defensive corner outfielders who can't hit right now,
Yeah.
and go from there. But
I think the important thing for everybody to understand in the chat is it would be Jarren Duran taking Michael Conforto's spot in the lineup.
yeah.
I'm all in. I don't care. Make it happen. Make the deal happen. Oh, Donnie Boy said much earlier in the chat, so I could live with Teo, Duran, and Pages in the outfield, and I love it being that alignment. You just got to get Teoscar Hernandez to buy in on that.
Teo will do whatever is best for the team. It's
By October.
The Dodgers did move. People talked a lot about the comfort level of Teo in right field. I think that was part of it, but I think it was more that the Dodgers were looking at last year. Teo was really bad in left field and good in right field. And so the Dodgers thought our best defensive alignment is to move Teo back to right field. I don't think it was so much about Teo's more comfortable there as Teo is better there. Now, what we've learned this year is Teo, if he's better in right field, then I'd hate to see how much worse he would be in left field this year than he was last year, because he's been even worse in right field this year than he was in left field last year, which was really bad.
Yes.
And what we learned last year was the Dodgers can win a World Series with a bad defensive Teo in left field as long as Teo is hitting. And so that's really the important part there. Teo, if he needs to move to left field, that will be a team decision, not a Teo decision. And I'm positive that Teo will do whatever is best for the team. And you know what? He hit better in left field too. Maybe if people want to talk about Mookie's not hitting because he's playing shortstop, maybe Teo's not hitting because he's playing right field,
Now you're going to get people saying, no, they got to move Mookie back to right field. Man, they can't even move Mookie to Boston. He's not even with the team, which that's another whole conversation. We could talk about that tomorrow. I don't want to bring that up here, but I'm all in. Can we make the deal happen? I don't know where else to go with this outside of it. It really does feel like a good deal for both sides. The Dodgers, as we've said now a number of times, need an outfielder. They can use an outfielder, and they need an outfielder that's going to be a defense plus guy. They have a surplus of pitching, and as we can see, looking through some of the arms that have made starts for the Red Sox this year, they could use a couple of arms in the name of, or in the way of, Dustin May, who has been good at times, has been bad at times. I don't know how he would handle Boston. How he would handle Fenway, and then also Wroblewski would probably be the haul of that trade, or at least the shining piece of that deal. But it definitely would be better than some of those names.
Yeah. Really quickly, let's go through this pro and con list I made about Jarren Duran, because Duran is not a perfect player. And I would be thrilled if they got him. He's not a perfect player. And so I put together a couple pros, a couple cons, and I just want to see if there's anything you would add to the list or anything you think I'm wrong about. Obviously the big pro is he plays center field, definite defensive upgrade, which is very important. Mm-hmm. He's got speed and power, mostly gap power, but still, he hit 21 homers last year. He's on pace for 15 or so this year, but he leads the league in triples again. He's got extra base power. He hits the ball hard, good hitter. And he's a Southern California boy, looked good in Dodger blue, went to Cypress High School, went to Long Beach State, and maybe even that whole getting re-energized by getting traded to your hometown team might be the performance ticks up. Those are my pros. On the cons list, first is he is having a worse year than last year, and they might have to count on him being re-energized by being traded to his hometown team, which isn't necessarily a guarantee. He also doesn't walk much, so his on-base percentage isn't much to write home about. Just kind of, it's not terrible, but it's around league average. And his strikeout rate, last year it was better than league average. This year it's gotten worse. It's worse than league average this year. I always get nervous. I think one of my beliefs at this point in life is that guys who strike out a lot are more likely to slump in October when you're facing better pitching. And so that's why, when I look at this, that's why Stephen Kwan might appeal to me more than Jarren Duran, because he doesn't strike out much. Doesn't have the power despite hitting 2 homers today, but I'd be a little bit nervous. It's not a terrible strikeout rate for Duran, but it's enough to make me a little bit nervous. That's kind of my pro-con list. You got anything else to add to that?
Well, I mean, to piggyback off of the idea of a lot of strikeouts, is you also have guys who are willing to take some pitches in the Dodgers lineup, particularly when Max Muncy returns, which could be in 2 weeks, maybe less. He's, of course, heading out to Camelback or heading out to Arizona to face hitters and move around a little bit, do some baseball activities this weekend before heading out on a minor league rehab assignment. And he's a dude who takes a lot of pitches, will make a pitcher work and let his lineup, the guys around him see more pitches, which I think is important for them. I don't care about somebody who sees 4, 5, 10 pitches. I just care about somebody who's going to get on base and more importantly for this team, run out there and collect the baseball when it's hit to them. And having somebody who is a wheel. I mean, this is a dude who has how many triples in his career? Well, he had 14 last year, 10 so far this year. Like, he is a speed demon. Of course, it helps playing at Fenway a little bit with some of those weird angles you can get out in center and right center and all that. But I care more about
25 doubles, 10 triples, and 9 homers this year. That's 44 extra base hits. That's
pretty good.
That's not too bad at all.
Yeah. Having somebody that, again, brings the glove and brings some sort of bat. The Dodgers were the best offensive unit in baseball for up until this cold streak, and that was with Michael Conforto in the lineup day in and day out, and with Mookie Betts having his worst season on record. Like, to add somebody even hitting, with a 774 or where are we at, 748 OPS that Duran has as of entering play today, it's going to be a net positive either way. And maybe it takes away some playing time from guys who kind of aren't earning it right now. Ha-Seong Kim has been bad. Tommy Edman has been bad outside of a multi-hit game yesterday. I think I can't find too many cons when it comes to Jarren Duran, and knowing that, I'm not doing any of the trading, but the Dodgers aren't trading anybody I necessarily need to hold on to. Hell, I would not be that opposed to seeing them trade Dalton Rushing in a deal. I don't care about holding on to these prospects anymore. I want to have the right dudes in the right spot, and I would hate to not advance in a postseason because the center fielder dropped the baseball, or because people were out of alignment in the outfield. Maybe Tommy Edman ends up being the center fielder down the road, and he's definitely better than the options they have. But to know you can get somebody that's just plus all around, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue with that. Like I said, we will talk about Stephen Kwan soon. Kwan is a guy who I'm not sure, I might like him even more than Duran. Tough to tell, but maybe I'll figure that out by the time we talk about him. I do want to address one comment in the chat, just because I'm in the mood to be rude to somebody.
Is it
Baba Booey says, do both of these guys live in their parents' basement?
I saw that one.
Does either one even have a girlfriend? And for me, I can't speak for Clint. For me, no, I own the basement that I live in. This office is roughly 200 square feet of the 4,200 that the house I own is. And I do not have a girlfriend because my wife of 22 years, with whom I've had 3 children, says I can't. And also because I'm unattractive. So So that's the answers for me. I'll let Clint address whether or not he lives in his parents' basement and whether
Yeah.
he has a girlfriend.
We don't have basements really so much out here in beautiful Southern California. In the house that I'm in, that has a pool and no kids, and the girlfriend of now 10 years. We've been engaged for 7 of them because I don't believe in marriage.
Engaged to not be married.
Yeah, we're engaged to not be married. So no, sorry, Baba Booey. We are
More
not
like
available.
Baba Booey.
Hold on.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. To fix everybody's palette and the visuals, we did get a super chat from Richie earlier in the show, $4.99. Thank you very much, Richard Flores, out in Devore, who is also married and has a nice man cave, but no basement. Says dealing D-May at the deadline is a great idea. Sincerely, Clint in the chat while taking a bubble bath, which is a reference to yesterday where I was not taking a bubble bath. He's a bullpen option, back end possibly. Thank you very much, Richie. We appreciate the super chat and the support. We didn't really talk about that. I don't think we need to talk about that. If you guys want my thoughts on Dustin May in the bullpen, watch any time I've talked about Dustin May over the last year and a half, and watch Dodgers territory from earlier today. Alana and I talked about it a whole bunch, but if they trade him, I would love for Jarren Duran to be the guy to come on down. Doesn't fix the bullpen issue, though. That's another whole conversation.
And that's the thing. This is one little piece. The bullpen is probably the bigger priority, or at least as big a priority for the Dodgers at this trade deadline. And that's where some of that other prospect capital will come in, where you're talking about. And I'm basically on board with you that I don't care which prospects they trade if it makes the team better. And we talked a little bit about this the other day, that we both believe in parades over prospects. It's just that there's no way to guarantee. And so that's why, I said the other day, if the Dodgers had won the World Series in 2017, nobody would care that they traded Yordan Alvarez for Josh Fields.
Exactly.
It's just the fact that didn't lead to a parade. Then people look back at the prospect and say, oh, what might have been. But you know what? In the end, they'll do what they need to do to improve this team. And we'll have a lot more to say about a lot of in the comments, on YouTube, wherever. Let us know what trade ideas do you want us to talk about, because there is a week left and a lot of guys. We've talked about Jarren Duran now. This will be our last Jarren Duran episode. His name will probably come up when we talk about Stephen Kwan, or when we talk about O'Neill Cruz or Luis Robert Jr., whoever else. But in general, what other guys are you looking at across the league who might be traded, who you think would make the Dodgers better? Because we'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So
yeah, absolutely. Sound off in the comments below, as the YouTubers like to say.
And smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I know they like people to smash buttons on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't just like
find a button and smash it, baby.
Well, if you're done, why don't you wrap it up for us there, Chief?
All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell so that you will get notified when we're live.
Ding, ding. We
are, as you've noticed over the last month or so, since I came on board, we've been doing more content. Clint is re-energized, the same kind of re-energizing we're talking about with Jarren Duran.
I'm so tired.
Clint has been re-energized by getting a glimpse into his future of what he might look like in 10 years. And, that's good. So we're bringing a ton of content to you all the time. So like, subscribe, all those things, rate and review. Go to, if you want to join our Discord, go to patreon.com/realfrg. $5 a month. You get access to our Discord, where there's a ton of Dodger talk all the time. Really good group of Dodger fans over there. So check that out. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the super chat from Richie. I think that's everything. Did I cover everything?
Yeah. Did you say the Bet Online? All Dodgers is brought to you by Bet Online. Baba Booey, go to Patreon. Support the show. We'll talk to you
and
there.
Bite me.
And bite me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.